So I'm going to go ahead and record this, so we'll save it for posterity just in case you want to go back and look over it. And what I'll do is just really quickly walk you through a couple of steps, and then there's plenty of time for question and answer as well. So I want to draw your attention to the URL that we're using for this class. So this is our instance of Canvas. It's the Let's do this very important step here, which is share the screen with you. So I'm going to draw your attention to the URL that we're using right here. So this is the ccconlineed.instructure.com. And this is the overarching URL for the online education initiative. So this is what kind of links all of the community colleges in California together. When you're teaching on your campus, will have a URL that has your campus name in right here. So for instance, let me move my menu. I teach at MSJC. So when I log into my own instance of Canvas for my campus, I'm going to see msjc.instructure.com. And so especially for you, Rhonda, as you're working with people across the state, if your faculty are putting something into the OEI course exchange when it opens up to other campuses, when they log in, they might see that CCC Online Ed, and then any course that you take with @1 will show the CCC Online Ed. And so it's confusing for people to see all of these different instances of Canvas. Now, ironically, we know if we teach on one campus and then we go take a course on another campus, that we're going to be logging into each campus's own instance of their course management system, even if they're using the same course management system. But for some reason, the overarching statewide initiative has confused people about what they're seeing when they look at Canvas. So the other important piece here is that we are also using Canvas's own instance. So this is the Canvas training instance. This is owned by Canvas. The parent company is Instructure. So when you're logged into this, you see canvas.instructure.com. And we're asking you to create an account with canvas.instructure.com. This is commonly referred to as the Free for Teachers account. And when you log in, what you'll be able to do is start your own course. So this is my dashboard. These are all my sandboxes that I'm currently playing in. And what we're going to have you do is create that account with canvas.instructure.com. And then you're going to click this button right here to start a new course. And when you do that, then you get to play in your own sandbox of your own choosing. We're asking you to name your sandbox with your last name, because we are going to be in this sandbox a lot. And there are 30 of you, but we also have 2 other OESPs running, so there's 30 of them. So currently I'm logged into, enrolled in about 75 other courses for faculty who are creating their sandboxes. And so your last name is super important. Since I already have a COM sandbox, I'm going to call this English. I teach both writing and communication, and so I'm going to keep my course private, and I'm actually not even going to make it publicly visible. So the only people that will be able to see it is those that I invite to see it. And I'm going to create the course.
Lene, that's kind of different than what was in the instructions for this week.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just was curious.
Yeah, it's okay. So then the other thing that we're going to do is go immediately. So this is the new dashboard of a brand new empty course. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to publish it right away. And the reason why I want to publish it is I'm going to invite people to participate in this course. And if it's not published, they can enroll in it, but they can't see it. Okay, so we want to make sure that we publish it right away. And then I'm going to go into settings here. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of settings where it says more options. And I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to let students self-enroll by sharing with them a secret URL or code. And now our heads are in the way, so let me move our Zoom heads. I'm going to update the course details. And when I do that, it will actually, you got to scroll back down. It will give you this enroll code right here. And so this code is what you're going to copy in and share with Pat and Aloha so that they can actually join your course and watch your course as it's growing. You're going to enroll them as a student, but the fun thing is if you're having technical difficulty, you can actually change their role and allow them to come in as a designer or a teacher. And then that way they can see the actual edit windows and help you with HTML if you're struggling with that or something else. But for right now, you're going to enroll them or you're going to allow them to enroll as students so that they can come in and interact in your sandbox. So you're just going to grab that and that's what you're going to put in to the assignment submission for your tech task this week. Okay, so you're actually almost done with your tech task after you create that sandbox. What you'll notice about Canvas is that there's some places in your course navigation menu that are black. Those are active. And there are some that are gray. Gray means that students won't see them. And the reason why they won't see some of these right now is because there's nothing in them. So if it's empty, it doesn't allow students to see it. So announcements is empty right now. But if we went in there and added an announcement, it would immediately become black and students would be allowed to see it. And so pages are empty and modules are empty. So let's go ahead and click on modules. You can click on it as the instructor, but your students can't because there's no modules there. And Canvas is going to give you a little warning and it's going to tell you what modules are. So it says course modules let you organize your assignments, pages, files, etc. into smaller sections or units. Modules could be centered around a theme, focused on a specific topic, or even just grouped chronologically. So in other words, you could have module 1, module 2, module 3, and then you could just go in sequence. The interesting thing about modules is that modules are sequential themselves. So they walk students through material chronologically. Whatever you put at the beginning of a module is what they will land on first, and then the next button will take them to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So it's your way to kind of build in a chronological structure to your online course. Throughout the weeks of OESP, we'll show you how to add assignments and discussions and content pages and all the pieces that you need to make a unit to walk your students through your particular course. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and add a module. And we've asked you to create an orientation module. And look, I always start with an orientation unit, so it's popping that up. It knows me already. And so it's saying, do you want to have an orientation unit? Yes, I'll take an orientation unit in this class. And I'm going to add that module. And it really hasn't done anything in my course. It's just created a category that I can now put things in. And that's all we're asking you to do right now. Actually, you need to publish it so that we can see it. And that's this little cloud right here, right? I'm going to go back to settings and I'm going to show you something else because one of the modules that we're going to have you put in your sandbox is a module that we've already created for you. It is a portfolio module that will allow you to create your e-portfolio in your sandbox. So at the end of the course, when we review your sandbox and review your portfolio, you'll have all of the pieces of your portfolio already there. So what we've done is created the 10 pages for you so that you can see what a module looks like. So I'm going to go to import content into this course, and it's going to ask me to select the type of content. In this case, we're going to select a Canvas course export package. So this is a package that one is already created for you. You're going to choose the file, and we've put the file right in the assignment so that you have access to it. So you're just going to download that file from the assignment. And as a matter of fact, let me back up and do it from there. Okay, so think we've got your course up here. Here you are. I hope I know where this file is in your course. I think I do. Let's see. It is in your
Week 2 reflection.
Thank you. We just moved where we put this file. So here is your @ONE ePortfolio module. And what I'm going to do is actually click on that to download it. And in this case, I'm just going to put it in my download folder. I don't need to keep it for anything. And so I'm just going to put it here in my temporary download folder. I don't have to open it. I don't have to rename it. I don't have to do anything to it except for download it and save it onto my computer someplace. Okay, now I'll go back to my Sandbox. I'm going to choose that file. I'm going to look in my downloads. Probably be easiest if I just sort them by date. So there it is. It's the most recent thing I've downloaded. I'm going to select that. I'm on a Mac, and so it says open, but it's not really opening. It's just selecting it. And there the file is. I'm going to choose import all content and then click the import button. It will tell me that it's working. You'll see a little bar right here that will let you know how hard it's working. And it's a small module, so there, it's already in. So now when I go back to my modules page, ta-da, there's a full module already in, okay? And what we've done is just created a page for each one of your standards. Since you're online right now for this, this talk, I'm gonna give you a big clue here, a big hint, a tip. If you click this plus sign right here, you can add a content page to this module. And we're just going to call it Introduction to Portfolio. Because we have a page for each one of your standards, but we don't have a page for you to introduce it. And oh, let me just show you that again. I did that without even saying what I was doing. So right now you can see that these are all green. It means they're published. And this green cloud right here means that the entire module is published. This means students coming into your course or observers coming into your course can see all of these pages. This one down here, though, is gray. What I want to do, since it's the introduction, is bring it up above standard number 1. So I can click or select these dots alongside the icon and simply drag the page up to the top of the module. So this means chronologically, when I start the module, I'll start at the introductory page and then be able to work my way through all of the 10 standards. Also, it's not yet published, so I'm going to go over here to this cloud and publish it. You could do the exact opposite as well. So when I come onto this page, I'm going to click the title in order to be able to see the page. And then in order to add information to this page, I'm going to enter edit mode. This will give me the box where I will enter my text. The old hat for Rhonda since they're already on Canvas, but nonetheless. So here's the title of my page, and here's where I'm going to enter my text. And when I click next, it will take me to standard number 1. So what we've done for you is we've taken the verbiage of each one of the standards and we've already put it on the page for you. And then to get you started thinking about your ePortfolio, we've put a couple of questions here for you. You don't have to answer these questions. They're heuristic. They're meant to get your juices flowing, to help you think about what the standard actually means. When at the end of the course, we expect that you'll be able to answer each one or address each one of these bulleted points. But right now, at the beginning of the course, you may not be able to answer hardly any of them yet, or you may just have ideas but are not really sure. So the portfolio is something that you're adding to and working on each week. but it won't be completed until the very end of our course. So we strongly encourage you to kind of go back and think through what you're adding to the portfolio each week as we address specific standards. This week we're addressing standard number 9, which has to do with professional development, because it's actually asking you your background in professional development. So what do you do in your field to stay current, and what are your intentions with distance education or online education to stay current and make sure that you're kind of hooked into the professional development that's available in the state. So let's go back to the modules really quickly, and I'll show you what you can do with your ePortfolio. You can actually go and unpublish the ones that are not done yet. So in this case, you would be unpublishing the entire ePortfolio because it's not done. It's not even started. And then you can go into standard 9. That's the standard we're working on this week. Go into edit mode. And eventually what you'll want to do is remove the questions that we've put here for you. These are just getting started, and they don't need to be part of your portfolio. So I can just highlight them and delete them. And then you can write your reflection for this standard right here in this edit window. So it says the instructor attends workshops and or conferences to stay current in distance education trends, theories, and tools. And the instructor belongs to professional organizations or groups to maintain subject matter expertise. What you would want to do in this section is tell us what organizations you belong to, what workshops you've done, what's your intention going forward to help you maintain currency, both in distance education and in your own subject matter field. So this is kind of like your CV or resume page. When you're done with that particular standard, then you can save and publish it. I shouldn't have said done. Each week, we're going to ask you to add to the standards, and even though it might be a draft, we need to be able to see it, and so you need to be able to publish it that week when you are asking us to go in and comment on what you have written. It does not need to be complete. It can very much be a draft until the very end of our course, but we do want to see you adding to it each week. And we want to help you not procrastinate as well, because the reflections are actually a very important part of the final for this class. And so we want to help you not procrastinate. Okay, I think that's all of the planned topics that we have to discuss with you today. But the rest of the hour is really your time to ask questions about what you're doing in class, how I can help you with technical aspects of Canvas, anything. It's really up to you. So looks like Tanya had to step away. Hi, Monica.
Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning.
I technically have office hours, but no one's pounding on the door, so I hope I can sneak in for a little.
I know that's
that's totally fine. That's the way that it works with professional development. We have a lot of webinars at One, and we strongly encourage people. Yeah, just if someone comes in, just mute your mic and go in. Totally.
Yeah, I was trying to look for the mute. I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's down there. Okay.
Yeah, and when we're sharing the screen, it makes it a little bit harder to find it. But yeah, just bring your cursor anywhere along the screen, and then you'll be able to see that microphone down at the very left.
Okay. All right, that's great.
Okay, so Tanya, you were first on. Let me ask you, do you have a Canvas question that I can help you with today?
Not for today.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I took one Canvas course, but I don't know how to make, like, I want to mimic what you have because it's organized. And I wonder if the way you did it is by modules, like what you showed us now.
Yes. Yes.
Like everything you have is like modules, and then you add tabs. And are we going to cover this?
Yes. So I think what you're asking is the basic structure of Canvas.
Yes,
and so let me go ahead and take you into, well, I guess I can do it from here. I think. I'm trying to remember what's in my my Sandbox. So let's look at my gender and communication course, because I think that this is a relatively complete I think. I have too many sandboxes. Yeah, because we're constantly cloning things so that we can show them as examples with and then I can't remember, like, is this the real example or is this an example that we made for something else? Okay, so this is one module, getting started. Let me show you something interesting about the modules too. They can get really long, and so your overarching module page can be extremely long, and so you can close it like this. And then that way you can see just the module titles without seeing all of the separate pages in them. Okay. So think of this modules page as kind of like the table of contents of your course. So I tell my students the only reason they ever need to go to the modules page is if they're returning to a unit and need to find the page that they left off on. Okay, so you're going to use it to organize your course, and your students are going to use it to navigate the course, but that's really all it's for. The modules page is just like the table of contents. So when I create a module, let's look at this getting started one, for instance. What you'll see is a bunch of these icons that look like little pages. These are all separate content pages, okay? And then if you scroll down, here's one that looks a little different. This is a discussion. Okay, and if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see a second discussion and then a quiz. So I organize the module according to what I want my students to do first. It's very chronological, right? So the first thing that I want them to do is kind of get oriented to the course. And then I'm assuming that these first few pages, they're short pages, will take them maybe an hour to read, right? And then I want them to dive in early in the week and get to know one another. So I'm going to put this getting to know each other discussion after these introductory pages rather than putting it all the way down at the end, because if they're looking at this module as what they're going to do in a week, then they may not get to the end of it here until like Friday, right? And I definitely want them to be participating in that discussion forum earlier than Friday. So I'm going to think really carefully about the chronology of what I want my students to do. So in this case, I want them to read this introductory stuff. And then I want them to dive into this discussion. And then I want them to keep reading more about the class. And then these are all the rules about my class, and it's communication, right? So there's a lot of communication rules. And then they actually do a second discussion about those communication rules. And we set some communication guidelines for the class. Now, that works really well for my class because communication is our topic. But it might work well for your class as well if you teach something controversial, or if you're going to engage students in discussions, then you might want to do something with them that helps them build that community, those rules or whatever, right? But that's completely up to you. And then I finally end that unit with an orientation quiz, because in my face-to-face class, I can ask them questions in the class to ascertain whether or not they're getting the syllabus material, whether they're understanding the class. But in my online class, I don't have that immediate response from them. And so I want to do something that allows me to kind of get whether or not the students have grabbed the most important pieces. So I have 10 questions that I think are really important. They have to know how to contact me. They have to know how to get their grades and their feedback. They have to know expectations for late work, because it's so important for them to keep up with the work that they're doing. And a couple of other things that are very important to my particular class. And those are the questions that I ask them. So it's not random questions about my syllabus. It's questions that reinforce something that they need to know in order to be successful in the class. Okay, so let's look. That's an orientation unit. There's a lot of content pages, okay? And then if you look at a content unit, what you'll see is that I have content pages, but then I also have these things called lessons. You'll notice these from our OESP course. They're made with soft chalk. But soft chalk is expensive. Soft chalk is about $250 a year right now for California Community College faculty. And if your campus won't pay for it, then that's a lot of money out of your pocket.
Yes.
So,
do you know if there's a way to get them to pay for it? I mean, outside of convincing them that it's a good idea, or
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, huh? Just
Well, so I would, if you're going to be teaching online and you're really interested in this, I would join your campus distance education committee.
Mhm.
And I would really use that committee as a way to leverage the tools that your campus pays for. Yeah, we're currently actually working on ways, because we thought that we would be able to negotiate with SoftChalk to get a better price for our faculty throughout the state. And we really were able to. I used to pay $500 a year for
oh
SoftChalk.
my goodness.
So they did give us, half price, but it's still really expensive. And so we're trying to figure out ways that we could do an interactive module in OESP that would be not quite like SoftChalk, but similar to SoftChalk. So we're working on some other ways to do it. But
Yeah, and I still can't access SoftChalk. I've tried my computer here at CCC, my computer at City College of San Francisco, my personal computers, my iPads, none of them will let me actually see SoftChalk. So Aloha has been sending me PDFs to be able to try to read. And, on my phone over the weekend, I was using my phone to read most of the stuff while I wait for my husband to do the grocery shopping. And it didn't even give me an error on my phone. So when I was reading that on Sunday, I thought, oh, there's no SoftChalk this week. And I kind of rested on those laurels. And it wasn't until later when I got to my computer, I'm like, oh my God, there are 2 lessons and I don't have them.
there's 2 lessons every week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Monica, let's you and I stay on the line for just a few minutes after everyone else so that we can solve that technical problem for you, because that's not
weird, right?
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let me show you one more thing about modules, and then we'll see if Rhonda has a question.
Okay.
So when you're adding things to your module, you use this plus sign right here, and when you click on the plus sign, it says, well, what do you want to add? Do you want to add an assignment? Do you want to add a quiz? There's an option to add a file. We're going to tell you later on why that's not a good idea. There's a content page. You can add a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also add a text header, which just adds something to your module content page, right? So it's not something that people are going to see later on when they're moving through your course. It's just to help you organize the actual table of contents, okay? Mm-hmm. And then there's external URL and external tool. And so those two we want to caution you about using. So the ones you're going to use most often are add a discussion, add a content page, add a quiz, or add an assignment. So those are the 4 things that you use most often in Canvas, and that's really the way that you build your course. Those are each building blocks for how you build your course. So let's say I want to add a content page. It's going to ask me, you want to add one of the pages that you've already created, or do you want to create a new page? So think about this. If I had a page in my course, I teach writing, about plagiarism and the plagiarism policy and the steps that students can take to make sure that they do not engage in plagiarism, I can write that content page one time and maybe put it up in my orientation. But then if I have an assignment where they have to turn in a paper, I can repeat that page, just add it to my module, okay? So maybe right before an assignment, I can repeat that page. It will show up for them again. The reminder, here's our plagiarism policy, and then they turn in their assignment, right? So that's a really nice feature of Canvas that allows you to reuse a page that you've already created. In this case, let's add a new page, and we'll call this new page, I don't know, someone help me out here.
Not plagiarism.
Okay. I think I might already have a plagiarism page though, so.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's called Academic Honesty, so we're good.
I like that. It's better.
Okay. So when I add that item to the module, what happens is it adds to the bottom of the module. And again, it's gray because it's not published yet, which means that if you're thinking about something but you're not quite sure, you can keep it unpublished and your students won't see it. So it's there for you, but you may not be using it this time, okay? And then you can just drag that to where you want it to be. So let's put it right before the assignment. Okay, so here's a journal assignment that they're going to do. Here's my plagiarism policy. I'm going to enter edit mode so that I can actually type in the policy. Blah, blah. Hopefully you don't say blah, blah to your students. And then in this case, if I want them to be able to see it, I'm going to save and publish it. Okay, which then adds it to the chronology of the module. Okay. So in this first assignment with your ePortfolio, what you want to make sure that you're doing is publishing that module, right? And the same with your orientation module. You have to publish it so that I'll be able to see it, or Pat or Aloha will be able to see it. Okay. Publish, publish, publish. That's the biggest mistake that people make. And I've actually done this with my students. I've like created a new page for them with some like material that just came out. For instance, I'm teaching a media class right now, and Snapchat had its public offering last week, and it doubled in price. And here's the most interesting thing about it. The average user of Snapchat is between 13 and 25 years of age. So they're building, this company that had this huge initial offering on something that's really a trend with young people. And there's nothing to show that this company has staying power, right? And so it's a really interesting topic to ask students who are studying media, like, what do you think of the Snapchat IPO? And so I created a new page for them. I embedded an interview with NPR. And sent it out to them, right on the fly. And so it allows you to create that material for them. At the same time, if you don't publish it, they can't see it. So there's always that risk.
How'd you find out that it wasn't published? Did they say something?
Yeah, that one, I went back in. I didn't get any comments, and usually there's a couple of people that comment right away. And so I went back in and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not published. And so that was a pretty easy one. Yeah. Rhonda, any questions from you?
Yeah, I don't know if you've been involved in the conversation yet about requirements. I've asked them to add requirements to the course, and I think I have some pretty valid reasons for it, but I understand that you have a course that you share, and that change needs to come slowly, so I get that. But is there anything I can do to help convince you to go with requirements? Because I'm lost without them as a student in your course, and if you're talking about modules being sequential, nobody will use them if you don't have them. They will go to assignments, they will go to the gradebook, they will go everywhere they can except for your modules to do their assignments.
So, you're raising a really interesting question. And we actually do have some modules, like I have some modules in my course that I have requirements and some modules that I don't have requirements. And it's really kind of dependent upon the content of your course and your teaching style.
Well, it's for the students. That's my argument. It's for the students. As a student in your course, it's difficult for me to figure out what I've done and what I haven't done without those requirements. So are we about student success or not? And that's really the question.
Well, absolutely. So I want you to know that we didn't make this decision lightly. We made the decision after running the course twice, once with requirements in some units and no requirements in other units. And the overarching feedback that we got from most of the people that were involved in the course is that they didn't want requirements.
You were using them wrong then, because prerequisites is different than requirements.
I know.
All requirements does is put a green check mark on the page.
Yes.
So that you can tell what you've done and what you haven't.
Yes. Okay. So what we did instead was put the numbers in, and we use a number system. And we're using user feedback, and that is what our users have most appreciated. And so, we asked you to kind of keep track of what number you're on when you left off and to come back to that number.
I'm sorry, but you are not teaching a very critical part of Canvas if you don't do this. I'm serious. I'm teaching these courses all the time. All of my instructors are teaching it. They're all using requirements. They love it. The students love it if you use them correctly. Using prerequisites, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of saying you have to do it in a certain order. All I want is those stupid check marks so that I can tell when I've done something or not.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. So just a question. So the requirements is what usually shows on the right, like on the right side of Canvas, and every time you complete something, it gives you a check.
Yes,
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought this comes automatic with Canvas. I didn't know that you have to activate something, basically.
You have to activate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've made the decision. Yeah, we've made the decision not to activate it. There was some issues with requirements at first, Rhonda, and now that our courses are built and out there, we've just gone with the numbering system, and it's not a decision that was made lightly, and it's not a decision that necessarily has to stay, right? So
thank you for at least considering doing it, because
of course we're constantly, yeah.
This is the biggest thing in Canvas. This is what makes Canvas work for our students. This is why students love Canvas.
So there's lots of reasons why students love Canvas, right? And so I'm going to say that I think the conversation is worth having, and no one's arguing with you. Okay, it's just a matter of how we actually created this course and why we created it in that way.
Can you try another test in one of the modules of our course and without the prerequisites and without the sequential order and see if people like it that way?
Sure.
I mean, do another experiment, please.
Sure. We can actually do that with...
I mean, if you do this, it doesn't hurt anything. All it does is have something on the right of the screen. That's it.
That's
right.
Correct.
All right. And so what I did there is made it so that people have to complete all of the items before they can go on to the next module.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not requirements.
So hold on, Rhonda. Okay. So students must complete all of these requirements. Okay. I did not check that they must move through requirements in sequential order, so they can do them in any order that they want. And I did not lock the next module to keep them out of it. So I've allowed them to move on. Whether or not they have actually completed them, you can set it so that it locks it, right? So the requirement is that they need to complete them, but I haven't locked the next module if they don't complete them.
So when you do this, it means that it creates this thing where every time they complete something, there's a check mark.
Correct.
So that's okay.
Okay. All right, so that will open with Unit 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lene. Those are the settings that I have found work for me.
Yeah, so I actually, because of lessons, that they, I want my students to complete the lessons, right? And so that's how I move my students through the material in my course. And that's what we have created here with the OESP as well. And the decision was not made by, one single person, Rhonda. This was like a lot of people talking about whether or not we wanted that in this particular course. And so the initial desire with OESP was to create each module differently so that people can see and experience what students would experience. And so each module had different features that were enacted. Like there was a module that we forced people to do it in order so that they would understand what they're doing when they select that with their student. There was a module that had pieces of the requirement that were set that had to be completed before people could move on. And what we found was there was people hated it. We wanted them to experience it so that they would know what they were doing in their course, but they hated experiencing it.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, we have gone with the basic, we're not going to put any of these on because we have learners of a variety of different needs and backgrounds. And so the decision was not made lightly, and it's not that we're ignoring what you're saying. It's that, we're just responding to how to do a very difficult course with a lot of different moving pieces and meet the requirements that the majority of people actually need. And Canvas has, I like the bar in Moodle. It's the only thing I like about Moodle that you can set that shows you like when you've completed each one of the tasks. I love that, right? Mm-hmm. I have a to-do list for my students. My students really like that. I've done requirements and I've done the to-do list, and they tell me that they like the to-do list better, right? But there are a lot of other things that Canvas does that helps students stay on track. And, it's an ongoing conversation that we're developing across the state as well, because Canvas is constantly, I'm going to say changing, because it's not always an improvement. I was going to say Canvas is constantly improving, but they're constantly changing. And most of the time it's an improvement, and requirements have improved over the last year. But some of the things that they do, are not necessarily improvements, but they're very dynamic, and that's a good thing because they're responding to the faculty needs. Mm-hmm. Are there other things that you're interested in?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Lene.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Monica, I'm going to stop sharing, and actually I'm going to stop recording as well.
Okay.